There's one thing all good guitar tones have in common. They carry the soul of the performer. No, you have to invite your guitar to sing for you. You need to open up your soul to the guitar, and your guitar will open its soul to you. What is a good guitar tone? Ask 100 different players and you'll get 101 different answers. The right guitar tone is the one that tells your story. Are you sad? Are you elated? Are you furious? All these emotions are locked inside your guitar. Here's a few tools to unlock them. If you like this video, strike like and don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be informed about upcoming videos. Why are there so many different ways to produce a tone on a guitar? One of the reasons is that the guitar string does not just simply swing as a whole like this, but it also swings in fractions of the string size. In other words, it swings in half like this, in thirds, in fourth and fifth, and so forth. And the closer you plug the string towards the center of the string, the more you emphasize the fundamental, which is the main vibration, because you force it to swing mostly like this. The closer you get to the bridge, the more you force the string to swing in overtones rather than the fundamentals. And that sounds much, much brighter. Watch this. This is also influenced by the strings that you choose. The thicker or stronger the strings are, the more fundamental that we'll have, because it's just more difficult for the string to swing, and the louder the string will be. So a thicker, heavier string will usually sound darker with more fundamental tones than a thinner string. This is, by the way, the reason why the bass strings on the guitar are not just being made in thicker and thicker and thicker nylon, because they would not be able to swing in overtones, and rather they have a very thin filament and are being wound by metal that just acts as weight. In a later chapter, I'll talk more about when and where to use these different colors. But for now, let me talk about one of the most important tools: right-hand control of the string. This is done by either a pick or fingernails. With an electric guitar, you can get great tones finger picking without fingernails, but that is because the electric guitar works on a completely different principle. With acoustic guitars, classical or steel string, I have never found a better way of getting a gorgeous tone than with fingernails or a pick. The goal here is this: A, to push the string towards the soundboard when playing it, and B, to releasing it very controlled. With release, I mean when the string leaves the pick or the fingernail. For that, the pick already is shaped like a ramp, and the fingernail has to be shaped like a ramp. Let me show you how to do this. If you watch this in slow motion, you will see that the pick, once slightly angled, causes the string to move towards the soundboard and is released gently. What that does is cause the string to vibrate in the fundamental and in the lower overtones, and not in the very high overtones or noise region that is displeasing to the ear. We try to achieve the same exact with the fingernails. The function of the fingernails is to act as a ramp and push the string towards the soundboard and release it gently, just as with the pick. The shape of my fingernails that you see right now is the only shape that really matters. Seen from this angle, the fingernails should be filed either straight or slightly curved this way. In no case should it look this way, because what that does, it causes your fingernail to get stuck on the string. You won't be able to release it gently, and you will not be able to control the amount of overtones that your playing produces. To achieve this, I take a regular nail file and put it underneath my fingernail and produce the shape that I desire. Afterwards, I have a nail file that has a little rubbery, soft surface. What that does is if I press my fingernail in it, it produces a little groove, and which is round, and it produces a very rounded edge. That gives you the most control over releasing the string with the amount of overtones that you desire, depending on string position and so forth, and not get your fingernails stuck on the string. Now my fingernails are in the right shape, and I'm putting my hand in a position that should result in a very rich and beautiful tone, but it can still sound like this, as opposed to. Now we need to train how to move the finger over the string, but before you move it, you will place your finger on the string and feel it, and try to feel its tension, and then move your finger over the string. There's two different strokes that we can do. There's a rested stroke and there's an open stroke. Let me show you how to do this. The way to do this is to move the tip of the finger parallel to the top of the guitar. This is achieved by leaving this joint relaxed and moving the finger from this and this joint. The stroke that I just did is called Apoyando, or rested stroke, called that because after playing a note, the finger rests on the string below it. This is mainly used for playing melodies. It gives a very powerful, very loud, and very strong tone. The other stroke is called open stroke or tirando. You activate more this joint because this is the motion. Still, the idea is to move the tip of the finger parallel to the top of the board. This is also used for playing chords. In both cases, the fingernails should be shaped to act like a ramp. I personally prefer to keep my wrist completely straight and relaxed because it's the easiest way to play. However, you can do slight changes of angle towards the strings, maybe a little bit this way, a little bit this way, a little bit this way, a little bit this way. I'm exaggerating now. And experiment with the different tones you get. There are two ways to actually alter the pitch of the note that we're playing. We do this in order to emulate the human voice. The first style is called vibrato. You play a note and move your finger slightly up and down the fingerboard. That alternatively stretches the string a little bit and compresses the string a little bit. It's a very subtle effect, and it's used mostly as a coloration of the tone. It sounds like this. Compare that to the tone without vibrato and with vibrato. And play this on the steel string guitar. It is usually used in longer notes, because if you used it in every single note in a faster scale, it would become annoying fairly quickly. Another, much less subtle way to alter the pitch is to bend the string upwards or downwards on the fretboard. Now this is mainly done on steel string guitars and electric guitars because it doesn't work that well on a nylon string guitar. A nylon string needs a lot more to be stretched up, let's say half a note, whereas a steel string stretches pretty quickly. This technique is, for example, often used in blues. Listen to this. One of the most beautiful and mystical aspects of an acoustic guitar are its resonances. This happens if one of the notes that you play happens to be an overtone of one of your lower strings. And we need to take advantage of that. So be careful not to mute lower strings in order to not cancel their overtones. So don't do this. If you could also do so we have to be careful not just about the strings that we're actually playing, but the other strings that are resonating. The opposite happens if we play two chords in a row where the empty strings of the first chord do not fit with the notes of the second chord. For example, having the low E string ring over the D major chord is not very pretty. In this particular case, what you have to do is mute the low bass string of the E after playing the D major chord. You simply place your thumb on a low bass string that is no longer desired. So now we can produce tones that are big and warm. They are brighter, dark basses, more powerful basses. Where do we want to use these different tones? A classical solo guitar player or an acoustic solo guitar player may want to decorate his piece with a variety of different sounds, maybe trying to imitate a whole orchestra. In some recording situations, for example, a flamenco guitar player might always want to get a more powerful, aggressive tone in order to cut through the whole mix of his ensemble. Same is true for an acoustic guitar player, steel string, who plays with a band that includes, for example, the bass. He will want to create a tone that does not have to be EQ'd a lot later. Because EQ generally does not necessarily, in my opinion, make the tone much better, but it avoids problems. So if you can produce a tone that can avoid heavy EQ, in the end, it will usually sound better. check out all my other songs on YouTube and leave me a comment which ones you want me to make an instructional video for next.